The United States government has a secret. They have been studying techniques to transcend physical limitations and access alternate realities, and they kept it hidden for decades. What follows is the story of the Gateway Process, a classified CIA program built on the work of an ordinary man who discovered by accident that consciousness is not confined to the body. It is the story of what happens when a government publicly dismisses the paranormal while privately investing resources to weaponize it. And it is an invitation, because the techniques they classified are not locked in a vault. They are available to anyone willing to explore the frontiers of consciousness, including you. In 1958, a man named Robert Monroe was lying in bed when he felt an intense vibration coursing through his body. His heart raced. A deep pulsing in his chest compelled him to lie still. And then suddenly, he was no longer in his body. He was floating above his own bed, looking down at his physical form. This was not a dream. It was happening in real time, in his bedroom, in the middle of the night. And Monroe, an ordinary radio executive with no background in mysticism, no interest in the paranormal, no framework for what was happening to him, was terrified. He thought he was dying. The panic snapped him back into his body, and he lay there in the dark, heart hammering, trying to convince himself it had been a nightmare. But it happened again, and again. The vibrations returned, the roaring sound, the paralysis, the sense of being pulled out of the physical form. Each time the fear was overwhelming, and each time the experience was more vivid, more detailed, more impossible to dismiss as a hallucination. Monroe did what any rational person would do. He went to doctors. He consulted specialists concerned that these episodes were symptoms of a serious neurological or psychiatric condition. The doctors ran tests. They found nothing wrong. He was in excellent health. The experiences continued. Now put yourself in his position. You are experiencing something that defies everything you were taught about reality. The doctors say you are healthy. The experiences keep happening. The world you were raised to believe in. The one where consciousness is a product of the brain, and the brain stays inside the skull, cannot account for what is happening to you. Do you retreat to the safety of denial, or do you push forward into the unknown? Monroe chose to push forward. Curiosity overcame fear. And that choice, the decision to explore rather than dismiss, set him on a path that would eventually attract the attention of an intelligence agency, revolutionize the study of consciousness, and lay the foundation for a technology that anyone can use today. As Monroe continued to explore, he discovered something crucial. The vibrations he felt were not random. They were a key. A gateway into altered states of consciousness that could be deliberately induced, navigated, and even controlled. He was not at the mercy of the experience. He could learn to enter it at will, but to make that possible, he needed a method, something reliable that others could use. And that led him to his most important discovery, hemispheric synchronization, or Hemi-Sync. Your brain has two hemispheres, each processing different aspects of consciousness. In most people, they operate with a degree of separation, thoughts flickering between them, coherence unstable, focus scattered. Hemi-Sync is a technique that aligns them. It works through a simple but ingenious method. Playing slightly different frequencies in each ear, the brain perceives a third phantom frequency. The mathematical difference between the two. If your left ear hears 200 Hz and your right ear hears 210, your brain creates a perceived 10 Hz tone. And as the brain begins to match that phantom frequency, the two hemispheres synchronize, working in harmony, like two instruments tuned to the same pitch. The effect is measurable. Independent clinical studies have validated significant changes in brainwave patterns during Hemi-Sync use. It is not pseudoscience or fringe theory. It is a documented neurological phenomenon. Sound waves guiding the brain into specific states of consciousness, from deep meditation to heightened alertness. Some users, using Monroe's audio tracks, reported experiences strikingly similar to his own out-of-body journeys, which is exactly why the CIA came knocking. In 1978, representatives of the CIA approached Monroe with an extraordinary proposal. They wanted him to participate in a top-secret military initiative called the Gateway Process. The goal: to use his techniques to enable soldiers to engage in deep remote viewing, the ability to perceive and gather intelligence from distant locations without physically being there. Think about what that means. The same government that publicly dismissed paranormal phenomena as superstition and fantasy was secretly investing resources to harness those exact abilities for intelligence gathering. What did they know that they were not telling the public? The Gateway Process was far more than a curiosity. It was a comprehensive training system designed to alter consciousness and transcend the limitations of time and space. The report was authored by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell, who applied a rigorous scientific framework to understand and expand human consciousness, lending credibility to what might otherwise have been dismissed as esoteric fringe work. The report suggested that the process could potentially allow individuals to access different levels of intuitive knowledge, including past, present, and future timelines. Pause and sit with that. A United States military intelligence report, classified, documented, suggesting that trained consciousness can access information across time, not as mysticism, but as an operational capability the government considered worth investigating. If true, it fundamentally changes what we understand about the nature of reality. If even partially true, it suggests that consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain. It is something far more fundamental, something capable of operating beyond the physical constraints we were taught were absolute. For years, the Gateway Process remained classified, known only to a select few within government circles. But the techniques Monroe developed, the same methods that caught the attention of intelligence agencies, are not locked away. They are available to anyone willing to explore the frontiers of consciousness. As Monroe's experiences deepened, he began to map the realms he encountered during his out-of-body states. These were not random hallucinations. They were consistent, mappable locations, each with distinct characteristics, each challenging the boundaries of what we consider real. The first locale is the physical world, experienced from outside the body, floating above your own form, observing your surroundings with crystal clarity. People you know going about their daily lives, unaware of your presence, like being a ghost in your own world, able to witness, unable to interact. The second locale, Monroe described as a realm of infinity and eternity, where the laws of physics as we know them do not apply. Time might stand still or flow in directions you cannot comprehend. During one experience there, Monroe reported hearing a massive bell ring, causing everything around him to stop, and a higher entity passing by, suggesting a deep connection to something greater than the human. He was encountering layers of reality that the physical senses are not designed to perceive. The third locale presented itself as a reverse image of our world. At first, an intimidating black mass that you must push through, and then a version of Earth that is subtly but significantly different. Monroe described seeing vehicles operating on unknown energy sources, a reality running on principles that do not match the physics we were taught. As enticing as these experiences sound, navigating them carries real challenges. Monroe encountered hostile entities during his explorations. He described being violently attacked in his astral form, emphasizing that these realms are not empty and not always welcoming. Mental fortitude is not optional. It is a prerequisite. Fear is the primary barrier. It can collapse the experience, pull you back, or worse, leave you disoriented in a reality you do not understand. This is where Hemi-Sync becomes essential. By synchronizing the brain's hemispheres, you achieve a state of heightened awareness and control that allows you to navigate these alternate realities without losing coherence. And there is another challenge: the return. When you come back from these altered states, the information you gathered can be difficult to retrieve or interpret. It is like trying to hold a vivid dream after waking. The details slip away as you transition back to ordinary consciousness. This is one of the skills you must develop, not just entering the states, but bringing back what you found. At the heart of the gateway process lies a concept Monroe called the cosmic egg. Picture your awareness as existing within an egg-shaped energy field, a field that acts as an interface between your individual consciousness and the broader universe. The CIA report describes it as a structure where consciousness can engage with the universe beyond physical constraints, facilitating a flow of energy and information across dimensions. When consciousness achieves a sufficiently high frequency, the report states it can click out of space-time, allowing it to interact with other dimensions and gain insights beyond normal perception. This is the mechanism behind remote viewing, precognition, and even interaction with non-physical entities. It is not magic, it is frequency. And frequency, as quantum physics has been telling us for a century, is the fundamental language of reality. The applications extend far beyond intelligence gathering. Monroe's techniques open doors to enhanced creativity, deeper intuition, and expanded problem-solving. The same methods developed for soldiers to perceive distant locations can be used to access deep meditative states, reduce stress, and explore the nature of consciousness itself. The potential impact touches medicine, where practitioners could gain insights into healing processes beyond current understanding. It touches scientific research, where expanded consciousness could lead to paradigm-shifting discoveries about the structure of reality. How do you begin? The techniques are not complex, but they require discipline. Start with Hemi-Sync technology. Begin with simple binaural beat recordings designed for relaxation and focus, then progress to more advanced tracks as you become comfortable. Practice the visualization exercises Monroe developed: the energy conversion box to isolate concerns, the energy balloon to create protective barriers during exploration. Experiment with color breathing, a technique from the CIA report itself. Visualize different colors as you breathe, revitalizing your body's energy flows. Build a meditation practice. The focus and mental discipline it develops are prerequisites for deeper exploration. Keep a journal of your experiences, tracking patterns and progress. Mastery requires considerable practice. The CIA report itself emphasizes this. The discipline needed parallels that of serious meditation. You are training a capacity that most people never develop, and that training does not happen overnight. You will face skepticism from others and from your own mind. Even Monroe initially struggled to accept what was happening to him. Persistence is key. And then the hardest part, the return. Imagine coming back from a journey beyond the boundaries of time and space. How do you process what you experienced? This was the challenge Monroe faced after each journey. His encounters fundamentally altered his perception of reality, leaving him straddling two worlds: the familiar physical realm and the vast, mind-bending landscapes of consciousness he had explored. One of the most profound shifts Monroe reported was in his understanding of death. After encountering what he believed to be deceased individuals during his out-of-body experiences, he came to view death not as an end, but as a transition to another state of being. The fear of death, he realized, was a product of identifying exclusively with the physical body. And once you have left that body and returned, the identification loosens. The body becomes a vehicle, not the entirety of what you are. Integrating these experiences into a conventional worldview is not easy. You may face skepticism from friends and family who have not shared similar experiences. You may hesitate to discuss what you have seen, fearing ridicule. This can lead to a sense of isolation, carrying a profound secret others are not ready to hear. But you are not alone. A growing community of practitioners continues to validate and explore these realms, from meditation and lucid dreaming to remote viewing and beyond. The consistency of experiences across different individuals and cultures points toward a shared reality beyond the physical, one that traditional science is only beginning to acknowledge. The field of consciousness studies still faces significant challenges in gaining mainstream acceptance. There is an ongoing tension between scientific skepticism and personal experience. Critics argue these phenomena lack empirical evidence and can be explained by known neurological processes. Practitioners argue that the subjective nature of consciousness itself makes it difficult to study using traditional methods. Both have a point. But throughout history, many discoveries that are now common knowledge were initially met with skepticism before gaining acceptance. What seems impossible today may be self-evident tomorrow. Robert Monroe's journey reveals something that has been hiding in plain sight. Consciousness can transcend physical limitations. It can access altered states, navigate alternate realities, and interact with dimensions beyond the ones our senses report. The CIA thought this was valuable enough to classify. A military intelligence officer wrote a formal report on it, and the techniques that made it possible are available to anyone willing to do the work. The entire human body operates as a finely tuned vibrational system. Your consciousness is more than your thoughts. It is a gateway, an interface between the individual and the deeper structure of reality. By learning to manipulate your frequency, you can potentially access information and energy from realms beyond ordinary perception. The government's interest in this was never about expanding human potential. It was about control, gathering intelligence, gaining advantage. But the techniques themselves are neutral. What you do with them is up to you. The power to transcend time and space is not something that was given to a select few. It is something that was always there, buried beneath the assumptions you were handed about what is real and what is possible. The gateway process did not invent it. It simply mapped it. The map is in your hands now. The only question is whether you will follow it.